Hello, I'm Mountain Xpress reporter David Forbes. Shaping up to be an interesting political season, and one of the most watched, hotly contested races is that for the 115th State House seat. It's currently occupied by Representative Bruce Goforth, who's running for a 5th term. Goforth, in addition to being a longtime legislator, is also the chair of several committees and subcommittees and one of the Democratic whips. We sat down with him to talk about his record and the campaign. Representative Goforth, you've been in the House for 4 terms now?
Yes, sir.
And what's motivating you to run for a 5th?
If you look at the last 3 terms, and I've been I think a power for the western part of the state. This last year I was elected in majority whip, which I think makes a huge difference with Senator Martin Nesbitt getting majority leader. I think it's an opportunity to bring some funding to the West that's been overlooked in the past.
And what are some areas where you think funding to the West has been overlooked?
Well, one of the key things was the lottery. The 10% that we didn't get from the school construction in the lottery was huge. We went back and we fought for that, and we got $15 million back. Even though a lot of people don't like the lottery, and I was not a favorite, it wasn't my favorite thing, but my district, when you polled it, it was 70% wanted the lottery, and so I voted for it. And right now, I'm thankful that we're getting $16 million.
You've recently proposed some steep slope legislation. Why is the issue being addressed at the state level now?
Well, let me clarify one thing. I know my opponent wants to say that I've finally seen a lot, and the truth is I've been on 4 steep slope regulations the whole time. I'm a general contractor. I know the need for steep slopes, so we got some contractors that clear cut the whole side of the mountain to build a house, and it's not needed. But I do not support it coming out of state level. We don't need another bureaucracy down there to fund. I think if you control it out of Raleigh, you're waiting 3 months to get a priority to get a building permit, which will absolutely break the building industry.
Do you support changing the state's involuntary annexation laws, and if so, how?
Well, I've got a bill that passed the North Carolina House that says that they have 2 years to put the infrastructure in after annexing an area. We had one city, Fayetteville to be for example, that annexed 40,000 people at one time. And it was going to be 15 years before they can get the water and sewer. With my bill that's in the House, water and sewer is a primary. They have got to put those in within 2 years.
You've been a longtime supporter of the Sullivan Acts, and you've cited the role in the 20s and 30s Buncombe County helped play in building the water system. How does that tie into justifying restrictions on the city of Asheville's water system today?
When they had the negotiation over the city and the county separating as far as the water and the city taking it over, we dealt with the city hour on end in negotiations. And the truth was they wanted it all and didn't want to give up anything. When you look at what the county was paying, they were paying for the ballpark, the city, the city police, they were paying a portion of that. When we looked at it, we said there's too much money coming out of there and the money's not going back into the infrastructure. So what we did, in the bill we put in where that the water system has to be utilized for the infrastructure. And this last year we changed a little bit to where not only the infrastructure would be addressed, but also the area they tore it up for paving and sidewalks could also be included in that.
You've said that one of your attributes is the experience and some of the seniority you have in the House. What specific legislation has that led to that it would be difficult or impossible for a newcomer to the House to bring forward?
I was the 2nd most effective House member this year, passing 20 bills through the North Carolina House, and the Senate, and the governor signed is huge. I was chair over sexual abuse for children, sex offenders. We got 10 bills passed through there. I'm chair of insurance, which is one of the largest committees down there. That makes a huge difference in North Carolina. One of the things that I fought for in that was the beach plan insurance. They wanted to put a 10% surcharge on everybody across the state for insurance, and I'm saying no way. What we did, we forced them to buy SIR insurance, and the insurance companies stepped up for $1 billion. Actually, it came up to $2.5 billion, and the worst storm we ever had was $2 billion.
The city of Asheville is pursuing domestic partner benefits for its employees. Would you favor a similar step in the state level for state employees?
Well, I'm for everybody having insurance,
okay.
So that would be my answer to that.
Okay. What steps do you think, what are the major steps that should be taken to resolve the current budget crunch?
But we're losing $20 million a month in sales tax revenue, lower than projections. That's huge. We're going to be somewhere between $300 million and $500 million short this session. And we can't raise taxes anymore. I mean, the truth is, and you've heard the governor talk about small business, they're just absolutely getting killed with the tax. So I think we're going to have to cut programs. And everybody you see, one of the things about it, about 80% of our budget is employees. And we got 252,000 people out of work in North Carolina. In 2007, we had $400 million of revenue in reserve on unemployment. Today, we're $1.5 billion in debt to the federal government.
Speaking of some state jobs and you defended of your vote for a 1-cent sales tax increase is necessary to keep education jobs from being cut. What cuts in other programs or methods of raising revenue do you support to keep education unscathed in the future? I
met with the superintendents this morning, and I want to see the superintendents make recommendations. Okay, if we're going to have to cut, and I think the cuts are going to be somewhere between 3 and 5%. Where do we cut? I want it back at the local level, not in Raleigh, making the decision where the cuts come, because the local people know where the cuts can come that hurts the least.
One of the parts of your record that has been criticized by some groups is the environmental advocacy groups. The Conservation Council gave you a low rating, and you have said before, for example, that we need to be a lot more worried about the economy than steep slopes. Where is the environment as a legislative priority?
I don't believe I ever said we need to be more concerned about the economy than steep slopes. I don't think I've ever said that.
The SIBO debate, sir, it was we need to be.
I said we need to have balance.
You did say that as well.
Words, exactly. I said we need balance, and I still say that.
Okay.
We can't rob all the jobs to protect the environment. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
If reelected, day one, back in Raleigh, what's your top legislative priority?
Well, one thing I've committed to do was to work on the school calendar to try to get local control back. That would be the first thing that I would go to work on. And the second thing, well, it'll be the same thing because the steep slope legislation for local, I'm working on the bill. I've got it pretty much finished that would allow local control and put a hammer in there for those that don't want to do it. It would cost the county $5,000 a year if they fail to meet the minimum standards on steep slopes.
What would you say is the main difference between yourself and your challenger, Ms. Kiefer?
I think, and I like Patsy. I've supported her in the other issues, but I think it's a time that you don't run against an incumbent that has done a good job. If I had ethic problems or some other problem, I think it would be fine. But it's unusual to run against somebody that is ranked well, is well respected in Raleigh, and is doing the job. I think she is a very capable lady. But the truth is, I don't think she could be as effective in getting money back to the western part of the state as I would be.
Anything else you'd like to say to the voters of this district?
Well, I think if you look at the money that I have worked on and gotten back to Western North Carolina, we're going to get $22 million VA nursing home, 100-bed nursing home that'll employ 150 people. That's huge. We 2 years ago, I got the ADAC Center, another 30 beds up there that employs 65 people. And it was $3 million. We got $8 million this last year for the Ag Center out there that helps tourism. We have also worked with the fire service, and the volunteer firemen and fire chiefs in my district have supported me well. If you look at education, when NCAE supports you over a 25-year teacher, that tells you that I've been doing a good job.